Hi friends of cocktails! Today we're making a fruity, creamy, pinky cocktail from Philadelphia's Clover Club, and we're making it our way. Again, I'll make 3 versions of it this time. One from 1901, one from 1911, and a modern version with super syrup and super lemon. These cocktails rise to popularity, eventual fall from grace, and recent resurrection had been the face of a modern cocktail renaissance. Once again, thanks to the author of this book, David Wondrich, who wrote about the Clover Club in his Esquire column back in 2007. How different did the cocktail world look 15 years ago? Trying to make the Clover Club fashionable. He wrote, and I quote, "Nobody makes drinks with egg whites anymore, but in this case, it's worth a shot. The Clover Club is unusual, tasty, strong, and not at all slimy. I think this cocktail deserves more praise than just not at all slimy. But let's make sure. It's cocktail time." I've talked about the history of this drink in the original Clover Club episode. We have also made the Club Clover, the upside down version with raspberry foam.
Should have been featured in Stranger Things, right?
So for the history lesson and to see how I made the raspberry syrup, check that out. We've changed the set since then, but what hasn't changed is the fact that I'm still not using grenadine in the Clover Club. In my eyes, this is a raspberry cocktail, but you can of course enjoy it any way you like it. Let's make the 1901 version. I'll crack and separate the egg, while you check the first printed recipe for the Clover Club, which was published in the New York Press in 1901. Courtesy of Michael Killicky, the head bartender at the Waldorf Astoria. I'll start by juicing half a lemon, as per the recipe. To that I'll add half a spoon of sugar. Make that a smaller spoon, since the next ingredient the recipe calls for is raspberry, that is syrup. Half a pony, which converts to 15 ml or half an ounce. Follow that with a quarter of a pony of egg white, that's 7.5 ml or a quarter of an ounce. It's easier to measure if you whip the egg white slightly beforehand. And lastly, gin, 1 jigger, that equals 60 ml or 2 ounces. Then shake hard with ice and strain. There's no mention of a dry shake or a double strain. For garnish, I'll add a fresh raspberry. The Clover Club got popular and other hotels started making it their own way. According to the 1911 Beverages Deluxe, the Belvedere Hotel in Baltimore used lime instead of lemon and added 2 styles of vermouth, with less gin. Don't pay attention to the grenadine. We have raspberries in season, and even if they're not, you can just use freeze-dried raspberries year-round. So again, get the egg white ready, then start by juicing the citrus. Here it calls for the juice of 1 lime, straight into the shaker. Instead of a few dashes of syrup, I'll add a spoon of sugar and a handful of raspberries, fresh this time. Muddle them with sugar and lime juice. Then add equal amounts of Italian and French vermouths, Italian meaning sweet, and French dry. The recipe says just 1/6, so however that works with your measurements, use that. The other 2/3 of the base of this drink is still represented by gin. Lastly, egg white. No measurements, so try to find a small egg. I'll do a dry shake first to emulsify that egg white, then do another shake with ice to chill and dilute this cocktail. Serve in a claret glass and double strain to keep out the small bits of the raspberry, and dress with 3 mint leaves on the edge of the glass. Some would say that turns this cocktail into a clover leaf. But there you go. Another option for anyone who doesn't want to make his own syrup or buy raspberries, but still wants to enjoy an amazing Clover Club anytime, is Slyber & Co.'s Raspberry Gum Syrup. It's rich, fruity, and with a great mouthfeel thanks to the gum Arabic. But to make the modern version of the Clover Club, I went a step further and made a syrup they don't sell at Slyber & Co. yet. Raspberry Super Syrup. It combines the sweetener, fruit, and the foaming agent for this cocktail. It also combines 2 recipes I showed you before. You'll need raspberry water from the original Clover Club episode and swap that with water, which you'll mix with sugar for the super syrup. Use that super syrup calculator on my website to adjust how much of it you want to make. I'll also use lemon super juice, which means this Clover Club could actually be pre-bashed and you'll still get that nice foam. The base will be only gin and dry vermouth, starting with 45 ml or 1.5 ounce of Monkey 47 gin. All other ingredients will be equal parts. First, 50 ml or half an ounce of French dry vermouth. As always, you can grab the bottles I'm using on Coriada. Find the link below. Follow that with the first super ingredient, lemon super juice, 15 ml or half an ounce. And the same for raspberry super syrup, 15 ml or half an ounce. Lastly, you knew this was coming, 2 drops of saline solution. With super syrup I always do a reverse dry shake, to shake with ice first, then another shake without it. Strain this vegan Clover Club through a fine mesh strainer, which gives it a nice foam. For the finish, sprinkle some crushed freeze-dried raspberries over the top. To get them like this, use a mortar and a pestle. Now it's time to taste each of them. I'll start with the 1901 version. It's surprisingly balanced, with a small amount of egg white providing quite a bit of silkiness. Gin is working well with the raspberry, but other than that, it's not really a complex cocktail. To some, that's a great thing. 10 years later, the Clover Club has evolved, and the addition of vermouths give it some complexity. But I had a heavy hand with sugar and raspberries, throwing the cocktail off balance. The whole egg white also gives off an unpleasant aroma after a few sips. And lastly, the 2022 version is the driest of the three, but with a nice balance of acidity, sweet fruitiness and botanicals from the gin. Since there's no extra dilution from the egg white, the flavors are intensified and it has a richer aroma. Vermouth, raspberry and botanicals all linger on the aftertaste. It's not a shocker that in this installation of old versus new, the new is clearly the winner, but the 1901 version was a pleasant surprise as well. Check out the evolution of some other classics or go watch How to Make Super Ingredients. I'll see you next week. Cheers, friends of cocktails.